Today on CityCast Nashville, I am so honored to speak with three local veterans, Shannon Rasmussen, Eric Rasmussen, and Josh Jordan, who have all proudly served our country and found a second family at Nashville's American Legion Post 82. This American Legion once hosted Honky Tonk Tuesdays, which has recently moved to the Eastside Bowl. But as I learned in this conversation, this place is so much more than a hipster hangout. It's a safe haven where, through the power of music, veterans come together to heal, share their stories, and build community with one another and their Nashville neighbors. In light of the concerns around federal cuts to programs that serve veterans, the Legion is a great local resource you need to know about. It's Wednesday, February 19th. I'm your host, Marie Cecile Anderson, and this is what Nashville's talking about. I'd like to start by going around and having each of you introduce yourselves and just share a bit about your service in the armed forces. Shannon, I can start with you if that's all right.
That's perfect. My name is Shannon Rasmussen, and I served in the Army for 4 years. I was a journalist. And so I wrote for the Installation newspaper and did some community and media relations. I stayed home with our family while Eric deployed a number of times. And so now I'm the commander of American Legion Post 82.
All right, who's next?
Eric.
Hi, Marie. I'm Eric Rasmussen, Army Special Forces veteran. Spent 23 years on active duty in Army Special Forces. I was a Green Beret, 7 combat tours into some pretty hostile environments, and also some non-combat tours that were also in some pretty hostile environments. Retired as a sergeant major in Special Forces out of 7th Special Forces Group down in Florida. And then we made our way up here to Nashville. Been with the American Legion for a couple of years now, serving first as a 2nd vice commander and then later currently as a 3rd vice commander. Working my way down to 4th vice and then 5th vice. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for having us today.
Well, thank you. And last but not least, Josh.
My name is Josh Jordan. I'm actually originally from Murfreesboro, but when I left Middle Tennessee, it was a whole lot smaller. I retired 3 years ago this month, actually, after doing 23 years active duty in the Navy. So I retired as a Navy chief. With a number of deployments, a lot of time overseas, a lot of time away. And somehow I came running through here a couple of years ago, and I actually needed to stop at the VA. And the VA here was phenomenal compared to everywhere I'd been. And I was like, maybe this is a sign I'm supposed to be back here. So here we are now. I'm the 2nd vice commander. So Eric and I are coming up with new numbers. I think I'm going to be the 2.5 vice commander next time. So we can just like split the load a little bit. But thank you for having us. And we're definitely happy to be here.
Oh, well, it really is such a pleasure. So I want to get into American Legion Post 82. For those who are unfamiliar, tell us all about it.
We are a rather unique post in the area because we leverage our position in Nashville and our connection to music as a way to draw veterans in. And so our mission always is to find the veterans out there in our community that don't know about us, don't know about the American Legion, even if it's not our post. We would like for the veterans to find a post and connect. And so in our specific case, we leverage music because we see music as a great connector. And so to that end, we try to leverage different kinds of music, different formats, engage different kinds of activities, all in an attempt to bring more of the local veterans into our post family.
We have a great stage at Post 82. It's become kind of an iconic stage. We've had a lot of big names come and play at our post. Jack White, is one that played there recently. We've had Hank Williams Jr. on our stage. We've had the Black Keys on our stage. We've had, some really big names. And we've also had a lot of local artists that are fantastic that come through and play. When you think about music, it is kind of, it is medicine, right? It's a universal medicine. And when we talk about veterans who have experienced trauma in combat or other things related to military service, whether it's being separated from their families, things like that, music gives us an outlet for emotional expression. And it gives us a way to sort of explore those feelings. It also helps us reduce stress. Probably one of the best things about music is it evokes positive memories. And we've all had that song come on the radio, where we're like, takes you right back to something, beautiful or positive that was from your past. And so the music is really, really helpful there for our veterans. And then, the third piece of it really is integration into the local community and back into our society. So, what all of us have kind of learned after multiple deployments and combat tours and other things like that is when we come back, we're changed. We're different people. Sometimes we don't feel completely connected to our local community, to our families even. Music really provides I think, a gateway or a pathway for that to happen. And it gives our community an opportunity to understand what we've been through and how we've served and how it has impacted our lives at a personal level. So I really think what we've got going on at Post 82 is really important for our veterans. I think it's good for our community. We need each other now probably more than we ever have. We've just finished a 20-year war in Afghanistan and Iraq, and the global war on terror is our longest war in our nation's history. Hopefully it'll stay that way. And Josh, I'm going to pitch to you because he helps run our Songwriter Night along with some other veterans at our post.
Yes, please, Josh, tell us all about Songwriter Night. Do you have Margo Price say come in and teach songwriting, or is it?
That is what we are trying to get to.
All right, Margo, if you're listening.
Yeah. We have a few local artists trying to do the same thing. They come in, like myself, I had decided that I was going to try my shot at songwriting. And that's actually, to be honest, 100% honest, which is kind of a cool story here, is that's how I found Post 82. Like I moved back and was retired. Eric hit on something I think a lot of folks don't realize, especially with veterans. Like I've been retired about a year and a half when I moved back here. I was like a shell. Mm-hmm. Like I just didn't feel comfortable getting out and doing things. And I decided like I didn't want to live that way. And I was going to find a way to get back into the community. The music piece, I was like, you know what, let me see if there's some type of veteran program. Post 82 came up and I joined online at like the American Legion. I had never stepped foot in American Legion. I've been to a couple of VFWs, but I signed up online. Somebody called me a few days later and I was like, can I be assigned to Post 82? And here we are a year later doing a lot of different, hopefully doing even more positive things. But as far as the songwriter program, we've reformatted it quite a bit to try to make it a learning process for people that want to learn how to write songs. Mm-hmm. Like, and especially veterans there's a lot of veterans that tell their stories that way. So we offer that first and foremost is just coming out. We will sit down. We've got some incredible musicians that come out and volunteer. And that's the biggest thing. We're all volunteer. Everything we do is 100% volunteer.
Wow.
Shannon, Eric, myself, all the officers, the only people that are at the American Legion that actually are paid are bartenders. But these folks, some of them have zero military affiliation. They still come out every time we do these songwriter events, which are the first and third Thursday from 7 to 9 p.m. That's how we do it. And the third Friday of the month, we do an open mic night.
Can I just add one more thing? I think we'd be remiss while we're on this topic of music programs if we didn't talk about our Wednesday night bluegrass jams at Post 82.
Yes, please.
There is quite a little family of the local community and our local veterans that have really come together every Wednesday night. And it's just a real informal, people come in, they bring their instruments, they circle up and play in small groups. And maybe sometimes when the weather's nice, a group will go out on the front porch. So the neighbors around the post will get a nice little show. And we've had some big bluegrass shows come through. You may have heard of him. His name is Billy Strings.
Billy!
Who was that guy he brought with him? That guy, I think people heard of him. Brian Sutton. He's also pretty big.
So Billy and Brian did a show at our post last year, and they recorded an album there. So we're excited to hear when that record comes out. Kind of a funny story with that, and Billy told it from stage, is when they first reached out to us about coming to do a show at the post, they wanted a couple of days in a row, and that was kind of hard for us to support with our volunteers. So we said no. When Billy found out we said no, he thought it was the coolest thing ever. So he said, I have to play there now. And it was an awesome experience. We've also had Dan Tominski. He wrote Man of Constant Sorrow for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? So and he's a great bluegrasser and just a beautiful human. The great thing about when Dan came is after he got done with his show, he did his show on Wednesday night, which is our normal bluegrass night, which was awesome. And after the show, he just hung out with all of our bluegrass community and just jammed with them. So
wow,
that was a beautiful time.
As the second vice, I'm the one that does the majority of the bookings and dealing with the labels and the bands, and the local communities embraced us in such a way that it's a very beautiful thing. That if I can share, Fancy Haygood did an album release party a couple months back.
Oh, wow. I
was there letting him in, and we were getting set up, and his guitarist came walking in the building. And this guy's like, I'm 5'10". I'm not a small guy. This guy's probably like 6'4" and comes stomping up towards me. And I'm like, whoa. And he's like, are you Josh? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, introduces himself. And he was from New Zealand. And he wanted to tell me that he'd come to the American Legion a year prior on one of our Tuesday nights. And while he was standing in line to come in, he ended up meeting this young lady who is now his fiance.
Oh, wow.
And there's so many stories like that. If you can get Margot Bryce to come teach us how to write a song. I'm not going to complain about that. I think she signed my wall. So if you don't know, we started something last year, our little sound room. We have everybody that comes and plays our stage, I have them come and sign this wall. This thing is blown up. So I could give you a list if you want after of all the people that signed it, if you want to ping
Please
them.
Do.
And maybe they'll come write songs for you.
Yes. I have a new job now. Sorry, CityCast Nashville. I'm on the quest now to get Margot Bryce and anybody else. Dolly Parton, I call her up too for you.
I love it.
Why not try, you know?
Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. We love you, Dolly.
What sort of promises have you made to yourself this year? Maybe get in better shape or eat healthier, save more money, travel somewhere new. What about discovering a new culture by learning a new language? With Babbel, you can do that in just a few weeks. I'm CityCast CEO David Plotz, and I'm having such a good time learning Spanish on Babbel this year. I'm taking a trip to Mexico City in the spring, and Babbel is giving me the Spanish foundation that's going to make my trip so much better. Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons, handcrafted by more than 200 language experts, get you to begin speaking your new language in 3 weeks, or at whatever pace you choose. And because conversing is the key to really understanding each other in a new language, Babbel is designed using practical, real-world conversations. And one way they do that is with their own podcasts. I'm a podcast listener. I'm guessing since you're listening to this podcast, you are too. And I have been getting ready for my Mexico City trip by listening to Babbel's conversational podcasts. There's a short conversation you listen to, then an instructor talks you through what happened, and then you listen again, and then you catch everything when you listen that second time. There's also a great read-along transcript, too, which I love. The one I did today was with Maria and Carmela trying to make dinner plans, but Carmela is so busy. She's way too busy with work and yoga, but finally they agreed on brunch on Saturday. Studies from Yale, Michigan State, and other universities continue to prove that Babbel works. One study found that using Babbel for 15 hours is equivalent to a full semester at college. So let's get more of you talking in a new language. Babbel is gifting CityCast listeners 60% off subscriptions at babbel.com/CityCast. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/CityCast. Spelled BABBEL.com/CityCast. Babbel.com/CityCast. Rules and restrictions may apply.
We're here with the board of American Legion Post 82, and they're talking about the way music helps local veterans connect with their community. Shannon, you had something you wanted to add?
I think there's sort of a common thread here that we operate from, and it's this. There is a sociologist, I believe his name is Ray Oldenburg, and he talked about third places. I don't know if you've ever heard the term third place, but the notion is that most of us have a first and a second place, home and work or home and school. And there's a lot of research to suggest that there is value in having a third place. And it's that place where if you didn't show up for a little while, people would miss you and wonder where you went. And for some people, that can be a Starbucks barista who knows their order as soon as they come in. It can be, a local canteen. It can be a church. But that's really our goal, is to be a third place, not just for our veterans, but for the people in the local community, so that when somebody doesn't come around for a little while, our goal is for somebody in the post to have their cell phone number. We can text them, we can call them, we can try to figure out, just check in and see how they're doing. And that is really our goal, is to be that third place for our local community so that people will walk in one time, never having been there, and they won't know anybody, but that'll be the last time they walk in and they don't know anybody.
I'm glad you said that. We've actually been talking a lot about third places, third spaces for our Nashville youth lately, but to think about veterans as well. That's a very good point. I did want to ask Josh, so the bands that you book, did the ticket sales go back to the Post or to American Legion as a whole, or is there somewhat of a percentage that is donated back to veterans?
Each artist and show is completely unique. They describe what they want to do, and it goes to a committee, and we decide yes or no if they're allowed. And it's not anything crazy. It's more to make sure that they're kind of aligning with what we're doing. It's not about us ever making money. We talked about Jack White coming out and doing a show. Well, Jack White came out, his tour manager sent me an email and said, hey, Jack wants to upgrade your entire PA system. Out of nowhere. We weren't throwing feelers out there. And sure, I'm not going to say no to Jack White. Like, it was just incredible.
Yeah.
And you know, they come out and they bring out JBL Pro and they scout our building. And the next thing we know, Greg Glasser at Guitar Center Pro was calling us up, coming out. And what I think Eric and I estimated, it was well over $30,000 in equipment.
Sound equipment. Yeah.
And it's all pro level. And it was just that connection. That's what we look for. It's not necessarily to get things for us. It's more of that kind of reach that you're able to support somebody else or to give to the community really is our goal.
Yeah. If I can add something here, you know, we are a nonprofit and we do kind of operate a music venue, so to speak, but not as a traditional music venue. So as Josh pointed out, when the artists come to us and they want to play, we do our level best to structure a deal that's win-win. We do like to take care of the artists here in town, make sure that they, you know, they're not losing money to come play our stage, you know. But really, once we clear our overhead, every dollar that comes into Post 82 eventually makes its way back out into the local community. We sponsor Little League teams. We sponsor football teams. We donate to Operation Stand Down. We support homeless veteran causes. None of us are getting rich doing this. In fact, none of us get paid, as was pointed out earlier. This is all volunteer work, and it all comes from the heart. So every dollar that people in our local community spend in our canteen or to come see a show there, once we get past our overhead and make sure all that is taken care of, it all goes back out to the community. We don't keep any of it.
Well, you know, you just reminded me of something interesting, Eric, because in the context of this third places, we were reading an article the other day and it was talking about third lives. And this writer in this article said a third life is when you go outside of home and work and you volunteer, because when you volunteer, you so often come in contact with people whose background doesn't look exactly like yours. Their story doesn't look exactly like yours. They don't come from the same place, but now you're interacting with these people and you have a common mission. And that is absolutely what we are finding at Post 82 is that our veterans, it's in their DNA to serve. And so that's what we're really trying to do is bring them home, bring them to our community and serve together. Because when we serve, it's something that's so much bigger than us. It's a common mission. When you get out and do it, it's life-changing and not necessarily for the people who are recipients even as much, but for the people who are serving. And so we're really trying to build this DNA and this message of serving the local community, because that's what the American Legion is about. It's what the American Legion has done since 1919, and it's what it will continue to do long after the three of us and all of the members of our post are gone.
I feel like American Legion right on Gallatin has a reputation for East Nashville hipsters, assuming that it's just some cool hip bar for Honky Tonk Tuesday. And I've had conversations with people of, you know, saying, oh, no, it's not. It's so much more than that. But I guarantee there's somebody listening at home right now going, what? I thought it was just a honky tonk bar. What do you say to those people for that misconception?
Oh, man.
I feel like I struck a chord.
I guess I can. Well, I mean, it's.
You all were like, I want to answer. Yeah.
First of all, we're in Nashville, Tennessee. We've got bartenders that have contracts or musicians. We've got we've got tons of musicians that come out. We have tons of people just have fun, and it turns into a party. And my personal thing is to not make it country. Shannon and I have decided we'd like to do a Creed karaoke takeover. So if you're a fan of like 90s, early 2000s rock, this is the place to come out, because that turns into a party really, really quick.
Yeah, I think for me, Marie, when I think about Tuesday nights and the honky tonk scene and all of that, yeah, we've been a big part of that for a long time. When Shannon and I got to the Post a couple of years ago, there wasn't a lot else happening besides our Tuesday night show. So we've worked really hard over the last couple of years to sort of refocus the Post back on veterans and back on veteran causes, but also back on serving the local community. So we have been nominated in the Nashville scene as the best, one of the best honky tonks in Nashville. We were nominated one year as the best dive bar in Nashville. We weren't super thrilled about that, but but no, we've worked really hard. Our brand, really, it comes down to one thing: it's community, and I think it's a really good, healthy thing for all of us that get involved with it. And by the way, the hipsters are welcome. Everybody's welcome there. We love the hipster community, and we did have a lot of them showing up for our Tuesday nights, and that's quite all right. Shannon, I know you're itching to say something.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, if I could boil it down really simply, in my mind, this is how we've said it in the past. We have a venue, but we're not a venue. And we have a canteen, but we're not a canteen. We're an American Legion Post, and we are really working hard to bring the community together with our veterans. And I think somebody alluded to this earlier, because not only do our veterans find connection in the community, but our community finds understanding of what our veterans have experienced. And it's just really a remarkable thing to watch. And so as we find our way back to our veteran roots, we are finding more and more members and more people who maybe didn't serve directly, but they are descendants of people who served, and they are part of our family too. There is just a spot there for everybody. And so that's really the identity that we would like to get back to.
Well, so if somebody's listening at home and maybe they're not a musician, maybe they can't teach a songwriting class, but maybe they have something else that they'd like to contribute, how could they volunteer? How could they get in touch with you all?
First of all, we do have a website where you can get in touch with us, and there's contact information on that. There's a lot of other programs outside of just the music stuff. We do sponsor high school students to go to Boys and Girls State. We sent several students last year from a couple of different schools in the local area to the Tennessee Boys and Girls State. And they all had a wonderful experience learning about how government functions and government operates. We've got our turkey shoot that we run every year from, what is it, Shannon, from like September to December?
October to December.
Or October to December. So we run that every weekend on Saturday and Sunday from like noon until about 3. And we have one of the only open ranges in East Nashville.
Right.
We're grandfathered in on that. And but we conduct a very good range there. And we got a lot of the local community that loves to come out for that. We do Wreaths Across America every year at Christmas time. So we go out and put wreaths on the veterans' tombstones at the Veteran Cemetery here in Nashville. And so there's just a lot of different programs going on all the time that we're involved in and participating in. And so everyone's welcome to come by and just, find a place and kind of get in where they fit in, right?
Well, you said something that I think is really key, because we are rather unique in the fact that I think currently our youngest veteran is 23. And we have one who will celebrate his 90th birthday this month. And so when you talk about spanning the generations, we have veterans from every war that we have fought in recent history, and they're all interacting together. And so we have 20-somethings hanging out with 70-somethings, and it's a very unique thing. And because of that, we're kind of building this thing in flight. So somebody can come in and offer up an idea of something that they think would be a really great fit, and we can try it. To the degree that we can get volunteers to step in. We just recently launched a color guard, which, can present the national colors at different events around town. But the ultimate goal is to build an honor guard. And that way, when there is a veteran funeral, veteran memorial service, we can go and provide those services to our veterans who we believe are so deserving. So really trying to move in the direction of finding more and more ways to serve the community. And we're really limited only by our ideas and our manpower. So even if there's something we're not currently doing, anything is possible if we can put the people together and get the manpower behind it.
Well, Josh, Eric, Shannon, thank you so very much for spending time with us at CityCast Nashville. I've learned so much. You all are so much more than the best dive bar in Nashville. I really encourage listeners to go any night, and I'll be seeing you at the American Legion on Gallatin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marie.
Thanks.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time, Marie. We really appreciate you.
That's all for today here on CityCast Nashville. I'll see you at the American Legion on Gallatin Road. If you enjoyed the show, why not tell your friends, rate the show, leave us a review, and subscribe to our Hey Nashville newsletter. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Toodles!